Your emergency is not my problem, and I will not hand controlled medicine to a child who may not even belong in this cabin, Flight Attendant Vanessa Cole snapped, holding the inhaler above 12-year-old Maya Brooks as the girl struggled for breath. Every voice in first class disappeared. Maya's mother, Danielle, stood frozen beside seat 2A, one hand supporting her daughter, while the other held a prescription pouch bearing Maya's full name. Maya's fingers trembled against her chest. She lowered her eyes as passengers stared, trying to hide the tears gathering beneath them. She has severe asthma, Danielle said, keeping her voice steady. You took the inhaler during your inspection. Please return it, Vanessa's mouth tightened. Sit down before I have you both removed. People use children to create scenes and get special treatment. A shocked whisper traveled through the cabin. One passenger looked away. Another lifted a phone beneath a folded newspaper. Maya tugged weakly at her mother's sleeve and whispered, Mom, don't argue. I can wait. But the thin whistle in her breathing said she could not. Danielle's simple gray sweatshirt, worn sneakers, and faded canvas bag seemed to confirm whatever Vanessa had already decided about them. What Vanessa did not notice was the small silver wing pinned inside that bag, or the unusual code printed beneath Danielle's boarding pass. This fictional EchoStory is about what happens when authority mistakes dignity for weakness. Like the video and subscribe before the truth unfolds, because Vanessa suddenly turned toward the cockpit, locked Maya's medicine inside a service drawer and announced, Captain, we have 2 disruptive passengers who need to be removed. Would anyone stop her before Maya's next breath became her last safe one? 20 minutes earlier, Danielle and Maya had boarded quietly, carrying only 2 small bags and a framed photograph wrapped in a blue scarf. They were flying from Atlanta to Seattle, where Maya had been invited to speak at a youth aviation program honoring her late grandfather, Samuel Brooks, one of the first black mechanics at a regional airline decades earlier. Maya dreamed of designing safer aircraft cabins for children with medical conditions. Her grandfather had once told her, "A calm mind can open doors anger only slams shut." Danielle repeated those words whenever fear tightened around her heart. She had always been terrified of failing to protect Maya during an asthma attack, especially after one frightening hospital visit years before. Still, she refused to teach her daughter that fear meant surrender. Danielle wore no jewelry except a plain watch. Maya wore jeans, a yellow hoodie, and the silver wing her grandfather had given her, though she tucked it into her mother's bag before boarding so it would not be lost. Their emotional goal was simple: reach Seattle, place Samuel's photograph on the stage, and let Maya finish the speech she had practiced for months. The inhaler remained in a labeled medical pouch until Vanessa stopped them near first class and demanded to inspect it. She studied Danielle's boarding pass twice, then looked from their clothes to the cabin sign. "You know this section is first class?" she asked. Danielle answered politely, "Yes, these are our assigned seats." Vanessa forced a smile, but her eyes stayed cold. As mother and daughter sat down, she quietly told a junior attendant, Eli, "Watch them. Something about that reservation is wrong." From across the aisle, Maya saw Vanessa staring and tightened both hands around her grandfather's photograph. The judgment had begun before the plane ever moved. Vanessa returned 3 times before departure, questioning Danielle about the same reservation. Although she never challenged the casually dressed white passenger seated behind them. "Did someone else purchase these tickets?" she asked loudly enough for nearby passengers to hear. Danielle met her eyes. "They were issued directly through the airline." Vanessa leaned closer. "That was not my question." Across the aisle, retired school principal Helen Ward noticed the difference in tone and slowly lowered her magazine. 2 rows back, college student Jordan Lee opened his camera and began recording through a gap between the seats. Eli, the junior attendant, checked the passenger manifest on his tablet and saw a gold symbol beside Danielle's reservation code, followed by the letters EPR. He had only seen that marker during executive protocol training, but before he could examine it, Vanessa took the tablet from his hand. "Do not complicate a simple seating issue," she whispered. Danielle remained precise. She showed her identification, Maya's medical authorization, and both digital boarding passes. Maya offered to explain the aviation program, but Vanessa dismissed her with a raised palm. "Adults are speaking." Maya's shoulders drew inward, yet she did not look away. Around them, whispers grew. Some passengers pretended to adjust headphones. Others watched openly. Helen asked, "Is there a problem with their documents?" Vanessa replied, "We are handling it." She interpreted Danielle's quiet control as submission and ordered Eli to search the overhead compartment for unverified property. When he hesitated, she pulled down Danielle's canvas bag herself. The framed photograph slipped partly from its blue scarf, revealing Samuel Brooks beside an aircraft and a senior airline executive. Vanessa barely glanced at it. Then she held up the medical pouch and announced to the cabin, "Until their identity is confirmed, I'm taking possession of this." The private suspicion had just become a public accusation. Danielle rose slowly as Vanessa carried Maya's inhaler toward the galley. "That medication is prescribed to my daughter, and your own policy permits it to remain with the passenger," she said. Vanessa turned, enjoying the attention now fixed on her. "Our policy also allows crew members to secure suspicious items. You boarded with tickets that may have been transferred, and you cannot explain who paid for them." The accusation rolled through first class like smoke. One man muttered that airlines had to be careful. A woman beside him whispered, "But their names match." Helen spoke clearly from across the aisle. "They have shown identification. Why are you treating them like criminals?" Jordan kept recording, his phone angled toward Vanessa's hands. Eli reopened the manifest and noticed something else. Danielle's ticket had not been upgraded, transferred, or purchased. It was marked as issued through a restricted corporate office, unavailable to ordinary agents. His face changed, but Vanessa shot him a warning glance. Maya's breathing had begun to shorten. She pressed 2 fingers against her wrist, counting her pulse the way her doctor had taught her. Danielle refused to raise her voice. "I am not requesting comfort, privilege, or an exception," she said. "I am asking you to check the information in front of you and give my child the same fairness you would give anyone else." For a moment, even the passengers who had believed Vanessa looked uncertain. But Vanessa folded her arms. "Your performance will not intimidate me." She told Danielle to sit in economy while the crew investigated whether the first-class seats were legitimate. Danielle declined. "Moving my daughter away from her assigned seat will not correct your mistake." Furious that she had lost control of the room, Vanessa picked up the interphone and called the lead supervisor, claiming 2 passengers had forged access, resisted instructions, and brought unauthorized medication aboard. Then she asked the captain to request airport security. Lead supervisor Martin Hale entered the cabin with the brisk confidence of someone expecting quick compliance. Vanessa met him near row 2 and spoke first, lowering her voice but pointing repeatedly at Danielle. By the time Martin approached, he had heard that Danielle refused seat verification, became aggressive during a safety check, and demanded special access to medication the crew could not authenticate. "Ma'am," he said, "you and your daughter need to gather your belongings. Security will speak with you at the gate. Refusal may result in both of you being banned from this flight." Maya stared at the carpet, breathing through pursed lips. Danielle rested a hand on her shoulder. More phones appeared above seatbacks. Eli shifted uneasily beside the galley, knowing Vanessa's version had omitted nearly everything. Danielle held up the prescription card. "Before you remove us, answer one question. If our identities are unverified, why does your manifest show that we cleared security, boarded through biometric confirmation, and were assigned these seats by your restricted corporate office?" Martin looked toward Eli. Vanessa interrupted. "The system makes errors." Eli quietly said, "The names, identification, and seat records all match." Martin's expression tightened. That contradiction should have ended the accusation, but Vanessa pushed harder. "They are refusing a direct crew instruction. That alone is grounds for removal." On Danielle's phone, a message appeared from someone saved only as R. Mercer. "Boarding confirmed. Call me immediately if protocol is not followed." Martin noticed the sender's name but could not place it. He hesitated, then told Danielle, "We can settle this outside without making it worse." Danielle answered, "Taking a sick child's medicine and calling her mother dishonest has already made it worse." Maya suddenly coughed, then bent forward, one hand gripping the armrest. Danielle asked again for the inhaler. Vanessa stepped between her and the service drawer. Not until security arrives. At that moment, the aircraft door reopened, and 2 uniformed airport officers entered the cabin. The officers stopped near row 2, as Maya's breathing became visibly strained. Danielle knelt beside her, guiding her through slow breaths, but the girl's face had lost its color. Vanessa reached for the framed photograph in Danielle's open bag. "We need to search everything connected to the suspicious reservation," she said. Danielle stood and blocked her hand. "Do not touch that photograph." Vanessa pulled it free anyway, tearing the edge of the blue scarf and knocking the silver wing onto the floor. Maya flinched as it skidded beneath a seat. "That belonged to my grandpa," she whispered. A wave of anger moved through the cabin. Helen rose. "Enough. Return the medicine now." Jordan lifted his phone openly and said, "I have recorded everything from the moment you took it." Vanessa's face hardened. "Recording crew operations may violate airline rules." "Then explain that rule to the camera," Jordan replied. Danielle's composure nearly broke when Maya reached toward the fallen wing, but could not catch her breath. Her eyes filled, yet she spoke without shouting. "My daughter's safety matters more than your need to win this argument." Eli finally stepped toward the service drawer, but Vanessa blocked him. On his tablet, a red system banner appeared. "Executive hold. Do not depart." Beneath it was Danielle's reservation code and an instruction to contact the chief executive's office. Eli stared at the screen. Danielle took out her phone and pressed one number. "Robert," she said when the call connected, "Maya's medication has been withheld, and security has been called. The aircraft must not move." Martin heard the voice answering through the speaker and went pale. But what happened next changed everything. The cockpit door opened, the captain received the same hold order, and the gate agent announced that an executive vehicle had reached the aircraft. Footsteps sounded on the jet bridge as someone approached with enough authority to stop an entire plane. Martin stepped into the galley and answered an urgent call from operations. His confident posture vanished. "Yes, sir. The passenger is here. No, the medication has not been returned." Vanessa stared at him. "Who is calling?" He covered the phone and asked Eli to read the reservation code aloud. Eli's voice shook as he repeated it, then opened the restricted profile attached to the booking. The gold EPR marker expanded into 3 words: Executive Protection Reservation. A company notification flashed beneath it. Passenger Danielle Brooks and minor Maya Brooks. Travel authorized personally by CEO Robert Mercer. Earlier clues suddenly aligned. The restricted ticket office, the gold manifest symbol, the photograph beside a younger Mercer, and the message demanding protocol compliance. Vanessa shook her head. Anyone can fake a message. She is manipulating the system. Eli finally found the courage he had avoided all morning. "No, she isn't. I saw the valid record before you took my tablet. Their identification matched. Their medication was properly documented. I should have said that immediately." Jordan uploaded a copy of his recording to secure cloud storage while Helen gave her name as a witness. The captain came from the cockpit and told the officers to pause all action. Danielle did not smile or announce who she was. She remained beside Maya, asking only, "Will someone please return my daughter's inhaler?" Vanessa still refused to open the drawer. "I followed safety procedure," she insisted, though her voice had begun to crack. Then the aircraft door opened fully. A tall man in a dark suit entered with the airline's chief medical officer and airport operations director behind him. Passengers recognized him from the safety video and annual company advertisements. It was Robert Mercer, chief executive of Meridian Air. He walked past the stunned crew, knelt beside Maya and said, "I'm sorry we did not protect you." Then he stood, faced Vanessa, and revealed why Danielle's name had appeared in the most restricted part of the airline system. "Danielle Brooks is not an unauthorized passenger," Robert said calmly into the absolute silence. "She is Meridian Air's Senior Vice President for Passenger Safety and the architect of our medical access policy. Maya is her daughter, and my goddaughter." Gasps rose across the cabin. Vanessa's face drained of color. The photograph she had seized showed Danielle's father, Samuel, beside Robert 25 years earlier, after Samuel had saved Robert's life during a hangar accident. The Silver Wing had been presented at the airline's first safety awards, but Robert's next words landed harder than the reveal. None of that should have been necessary for them to receive dignity. They deserved respectful treatment before you knew her title, before you saw my name, and even if they had no connection to this company at all. The chief medical officer opened the drawer, verified the untouched prescription label, and handed the inhaler directly to Maya. After 2 measured doses, her breathing began to ease. Eli confirmed that Danielle's documents had matched from the beginning. Martin admitted that Vanessa's report claimed aggression, forged access, and an unidentified drug, although the boarding records, biometric log, prescription authorization, and cabin audio contradicted every accusation. Jordan displayed the full recording. Helen and 3 other passengers volunteered statements. Operations preserved the manifest, crew messages, security request, and cockpit hold notification. Vanessa tried to explain that she had been cautious, but Robert answered quietly, "Caution verifies facts. Prejudice invents them." Danielle looked at Vanessa without triumph. "This is not about my position. It is about what happened when you believed my child and I had no influence." Robert ordered Vanessa removed from duty immediately and suspended pending a formal investigation. Martin was reassigned from the flight while his response was reviewed. As replacement crew entered, Robert announced that the plane would remain at the gate until Maya was medically cleared, and every piece of evidence was secured. Vanessa left the aircraft accompanied by an operations manager, not in handcuffs but under immediate suspension. Martin remained behind long enough to give a statement and acknowledge that he had accepted a senior employee's version without checking the records or asking witnesses what they saw. Jordan transferred his original video to investigators. Helen described Vanessa's tone, the unequal questioning, and each request Danielle made for the inhaler. Eli's statement was the hardest. "I knew the documents were valid," he admitted, eyes lowered. "I was afraid that challenging her would damage my career." My silence helped her continue. Danielle answered, "Then use this moment to become the person who speaks sooner." Weeks later, the investigation found serious misconduct, including discriminatory treatment, falsifying the incident report, withholding verified medication, and ignoring a child's medical distress. Vanessa's employment was terminated after the review. Martin received a suspension and mandatory leadership retraining for failing to investigate before escalating. Meridian Air issued Danielle and Maya a formal apology and covered their travel, medical evaluation, and the restoration of Samuel's damaged photograph. More importantly, Danielle refused a private settlement that required silence. Instead, she worked with cabin crews, disability advocates, parents, and medical professionals to create a new policy. Prescribed emergency medication could never be confiscated without immediate medical consultation. Passenger disputes required independent verification, and junior employees could report unsafe orders without retaliation. During a training session, Vanessa was permitted to apologize directly to Maya. "I judged you before I knew you," she said. Maya held the repaired Silver Wing in her palm and answered, "I hope the next child does not need an important mother before you believe them." Danielle did not celebrate Vanessa's downfall. "Accountability is not meant to satisfy anger," she explained. "It is meant to make the next vulnerable person safer." Before their rescheduled flight departed, Eli returned the restored photograph, now protected inside a clear case. When Maya finally boarded the replacement flight, the new lead attendant greeted her by name, asked where she preferred to keep her inhaler, and showed her the updated medical response card being tested across the airline. Maya chose to keep the medicine in the seat pocket where she could reach it herself. Danielle sat beside her, no longer hiding the Silver Wing inside a bag. As the plane prepared for departure, Robert remained at the gate rather than entering the cabin, giving mother and daughter space to finish the journey on their own terms. Passengers who had witnessed the confrontation offered quiet smiles. Helen squeezed Maya's hand and told her that courage did not always sound loud. Jordan promised that his video would only be shared with investigators unless Danielle and Maya approved its public release. Months later, Maya stood on the Seattle stage beside her grandfather's repaired photograph and presented her idea for child-friendly medical storage in airplane seats. Meridian Air funded the design for testing, but Maya insisted it carry Samuel's name, not hers. Danielle watched from the audience as her daughter spoke without trembling. EchoStory reminds us that every child deserves protection, and no uniform, title, rule, or position gives anyone the right to humiliate another human being. Silence may feel safe in the moment, but it gives injustice room to grow. One witness who records, one employee who speaks, or one stranger who refuses to look away can change the outcome. Respect that appears only after power is revealed is not respect at all. True dignity is shown when you believe the person before you has nothing to offer you and no one important coming to their defense. What would you have done in that cabin? Share your answer in the comments, like this video, subscribe to EchoStory, and send this story to someone who believes courage should protect the powerless.